What's up YouTube? This is going to be your guide on how to use Moltres Galar in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun meme movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section. If you enjoy these, they help you out, drop a like and let's get into it. So Moltres Galar has some pretty decent stats for sure. We got a dark and flying type too, which is interesting. And we also have the Berserk ability. So Berserk ability is really good because it actually gives Moltres a way to passively boost its special attack. It does have ways to do that already, but it's just nice that it actually has that. Looking at its stats, we've got a fat special attack stat, good special defensive stat, 90 base speed, which is pretty good as well. And all the rest is kind of just, average there. Good, not a bad health stat, I guess, as well for a sweeping Pokemon. Now, you can run Moltres Galar a couple of ways, for singles and for doubles and stuff like that. So we'll start with more of a singles build here. So this has Nasty Plot, which is going to be very, very useful in singles play, for sure. So boosting it's already quite nice special attack already. And the main move it uses is Fire Wrath. Whether it be singles or doubles format, this move is really, really good. So it's a dark type move, 90 base power, and it has a 20% chance to flinch, which is good too. So not only do you get hit really, really hard, you can flinch. So it's a little bit better. Basically, it's a better dark pulse, but it also hits both opponents too, which is definitely better. It gets Hurricane as well, which is a good, powerful flying move for sure. And I like running Substitute on here. So you could go Sub, and then Nasty Plot, and then use Fire Wrath and Hurricane. It's got pretty good coverage, actually. So you'll be able to hit most things with that. And it gets a couple of alright, terrors you can use. So I made this a bit more of a defensive terror for Terra Fairy. So I could maybe get a sub up, or have Terra Fairy, or have a sub up. And then I could start to use Nasty Plot behind the sub and then use Hurricane and Fiery Wrath. So that's definitely a way of doing it. Or you could have Terra Dark or Terra Flying as well if you want to boost up its main stab moves. It is weak to Fairy. It is weak to quite a few other types as well with that Dark and Flying type. So that's why I went with Fairy. You could have Terra Blast Fairy on there too. You could also have Terra Steel. That could be another good one too. And you could even have, instead of Sub, you could even have Terra Blast Steel straight there to hit Fairy type. So that could be quite good too. So we got another. I'd say it's not too bad. Even Ghost wouldn't be all that bad either. Mainly for priority moves and such like that. Like extreme speed and such. I gave it Leftovers. You could run Leftovers or Citrus Berry. They work best with the Berserk ability. So basically what happens when the Pokemon special attack, when it reaches half or less of its health. So let's say it reaches less of its health from an attack. So what will happen with Leftovers Citrus Berry, what will happen is it'll get its Berserk boost and then the item will kick in afterwards. So it gives you an opportunity to get another one, say, later on. So that is why, good items to actually use on there for sure. So I'll be going with one of them. You could have maybe black glasses or something like that, but I think those work best for singles. Even for doubles, Citrus Berry is very good too. So max special attack and max speed, Timber Nature works well on there. You could run it more tanky if you wanted to, but I've got more of a tanky sweeping build, coming up here. So that's how I go about running Moltres for singles. I mean, you could. The only other thing you might run on there could be Taunt. He could be a good Taunt user too. I was just thinking that wouldn't be all that bad. So Taunt could be okay. I quite like Substitute on there, though. I quite like having that Substitute up. So it's sort of a personal sort of preference thing, So that's how I go about running a special attacking Moltres Galar. Let's check out the next set. So our next set here is kind of similar, but this one is more tanky, and we're going to be using the move Agility. So this is probably... Actually, this would work all right for doubles as well, but this could work in singles or doubles. So these could work, pretty well. Except instead of agility, you'd probably be using something like Tailwind. So that's sort of a bit different there. But let's have a look at it. So we got agility. That's going to increase its speed by 2 stages. So we hit a very good speed stat. Only with, like, say, 44. I'm just going to run 44 in speed because I don't need to run max speed on there. I'm going to go max health for overall bulk. I'm going to give it a 212. I'm either going to give it 212 in special attack, or I'm going to go max special attack and go 212. Okay, I'll do 2. I think I was meant to do that. So 212 in health, and then we've got we've got max special attack and modest nature, and then we've got 44 in speed. So that's giving it a really good chance to hit hard, and it's going to be very fast as well. And we've still got some good overall bulk there, so it's able to set up an agility. So that's going to be definitely good for sure there. So we got the good thing about this is you've got nasty plot as well, so you could potentially use both of them if you really, really wanted to. So you get agility and nasty plot with this extra bulk and a citrus berry. So you might even get another, you might even get a +3 there with Berserk activated. Now, Berserk ability doesn't get activated by, like, passive stuff, so like Leech Seed and things like that. So you need to actually be physically, or you need to be, like, hit by an attacking move to get Berserk to activate. Just thought I'd say that too. So, and you can't use Substitute either. You can't use Substitute to get down to it either. So when I had Substitute there, just watch out on the Substitute. If, like, that Substitute set, you just using that to hide behind and set up. But you probably want to allow yourself to be hit to get that boost too. So back to this set. So we've got Fiery Wrath, obviously, and we've got Air Slash. So it's a double scumbag flinching set. So that's going to be really fast, and it's going to be hitting hard, and it has a good chance of flinching too. So the problem with when you got a Pokemon that's quite fast, or very, very fast, is it is immune to priority moves. So I thought Terra Ghost would be pretty good on there because there's so many Terra normal Pokemon like Dragonite and stuff like that. So that could be a good way to get around that at least. Or you could do Dark, or you could do Flying as well. There are many options that you could actually go for using that. There's not too much else I'd run for that set. Modest Nature is just good on it in general because in singles you can use Agility, and in doubles you can use Tailwind, right? So it's a good way of just maximizing its special attack. Citrus Berry as the item as well, obviously, because that will activate. Berserk will activate before the Citrus Berry kicks in. So that's why it's such a good item for it. All right, there's some single sets. Let's have a look at some doubles now. Okay, so this kind of looks similar to what I did EV-wise and stuff like that, but we'll have a look here. So we've got Fiery Wrath, obviously. So Fiery Wrath hits both the opponents and has a 20% chance to flinch both of them, which is cool. Air Slash, which is nice, so more flinching. And we've got Tailwind here. So I'm pretty sure they all get Tailwind. Most of them, I think all of these get Tailwind, the legendary birds. And we've got Tailwind and Protect. So with Tailwind up, that's going to support our team as well as the Moltres' speed. And we're going to be hitting hard, and we're going to be flinching and stuff like that. I've got Terra Dark as well, and I've got Black Glasses. So Black Glasses will give it an additional 1.2 times on top of Fiery Wrath. So it's going to be hitting nice and hard. And if it is put below, or half health, or below that, it's going to get a Berserk boost, which will just give it some extra special attack, which would be very, very handy for sure. And at least with Air Slash, you can still hit Fairy-type Pokemon as well. So you can still go for a flinch. Or, if you've got something next to you that's a Steel-type Pokemon, that can be very useful too. But I'll get more into team building and such in the future. EVs, 212 in health. We got 252 in special attack and 44 in speed. I'm not loading it up with speed because you don't really need to. It's quite fast already, so you don't really want to be wasting. You don't need to put max speed in there at all. If you're going for something specific, say you want to, I want to outspeed an X-Choice Scarf Pokemon there. I think this is enough to outspeed. This is enough to outspeed like Scarf, Kyogre, and stuff like that. But if you're having trouble with specific Pokemon, you can always put a little bit more in speed and drop the health. But I would keep the special attack in there. You want it hitting as hard as possible, for sure. That's its main thing. All right, let's check out the next set here. All Alright, so this set is kind of similar, but it does get a couple of different tools, which I thought I could show in this set. So EV-wise, I kind of always do this EV spread for Moltres, or very similar, especially with Tailwind. So this actually gets Hyper Voice too. So you've got 2 moves that can hit both opponents, which is good. And Hyper Voice, you could use Throat Spray. I thought Throat Spray could be really cool, and then Berserk as well. So you get like potentially you could get a nasty plot boost if you were able to get both of these happen without with continually attacking, which is really cool. So you've got that, and I thought Terra Normal could be interesting too, because that's going to boost up the Hyper Voice, and it's going to be hitting really, really hard too. And if a Ghost type wants to come in, we've got Fiery Wrath, so that's going to give you some fun coverage there. Tailwind, and it actually gets Foul Play too. So Foul Play is kind of interesting as a last slot move. You can slide it on there, and then you could use the target's attack stat, in the damage calc when they do get like a boost or a boost energy or something like that, or a sword dance. You can just go boom and do a lot of damage from Foul Play. Kind of a surprise move there for anything that I don't know. I guess a Pokemon that's confident they can live a Fiery Wrath or be very tanky. You could hit them with a Foul Play. Foul Play's not all that bad too. It's quite an interesting move. So or you could have Protect on there if you want to. I just thought that could be interesting. Another move you could go on there is Taunt. Once you get the Tailwind up, that could be quite useful. So you could have Taunt. I'm trying to think. There's not too many other things you could run on there. As I said, Protect is another one too. So there's sort of the moves I'd run from Moltres in doubles. There's not too many things outside that. It is quite a barren Pokemon, but that's the sort of sets I would go for in doubles on Moltres, and they work well. You could put Nasty Plot on there too. I'm definitely not saying you can't. You could definitely put Nasty Plot as another move. Either this set here, you could put it on there. You have to give up Protect, though. That's the only thing. So then you got to go Tailwind and Nasty Plot. It is handy to have Protect. It sure is. And you're going to get a special attack boost with a Berserk anyway. So that's why Nasty Plot, I don't think it is as good as it is in singles. Because singles, you're versing one Pokemon, right? Doubles, you got to worry about 2. So it's harder to get those boosts up in general. And you can get a passive boost with Berserk anyway. So you can try for it for sure, but it's going to be difficult. That's why I suggested something with this double, like it's like having a pseudo Nasty Plot with just attacking. So that's a good way to run Moltres Galar. I've actually got one more double set, which is interesting, and then we've got a Pimpnite special, and then we'll talk some team building and teammates and counters and other stuff like that. Alright, this set is a little bit different. I've tried this one out myself with various EV spreads and stuff, but it gets After You, which is a really, really cool move. So I forgot to mention this before, but then I was like, oh, I'll make this set into a new one. So After You is a pretty cool move. What it does, essentially, is it makes the target move right after the user. So what that means is, say I use After You. So if I use After You on a really, really slow Pokemon, they'll go right after me, hence the name. So you could match this up with something that's very, very slow and bulky. So you could deliberately make them bulky and offensive, and they could go right after Moltres. And Moltres has got some pretty good speed as well. So you could go crazy. It probably doesn't need this many speed EVs, obviously, but you could use stuff like Tailwind to increase the speed and get Moltres to keep going first over and over, and then get the really slow Pokemon to attack. And it could be virtually any, like, I'm just going to do a raw example. Something like, say, Rampardos, right? Or something that has a big attack stat or a big special attack stat, but it's very, very slow. You could definitely use this combination with it. It also has Helping Hand, which is really cool, and Fiery Wrath as just so you're not completely passive. But I reckon this set has some definite promise. You could drop it back. Let's drop it back to some EVs. It'll probably 249. Yeah, I would go. We'll go with 44, and we'll use let's say we'll put Modest onto this. Actually, I might give it a little bit less. Actually, no, I'll give it some more special attack. That's cool. Or you could even make it more bulky if you wanted to. You could go like defensive and then go bold here. Let's do that. So we're gonna make it. Actually, I like this set. So we got max health, 212 in defense, bold nature, and 44 in speed. So this is still gonna make us go first before anything after a tailwind. If you're finding you're getting outsped, just put more into speed and drop the. You could drop the defense back a little bit for any real fast Pokemon. So, I mean, that's going to hit huge speed. So, we'll leave it at that. 120, 36, 136. And you could use this as an after you user. So, it'll be very, very quick. There's not that many after you users in the game that are good. So, this might be a niche that Moltres Galar can sort of carve out there. Citrus Berry and Berserk, obviously, is going to work nice at, getting some damage. So once you got Tailwind going, you could just keep going after you on something really, really, a hard-hitting Pokemon. A good example for that, for after you, could be Calyrex Ice Rider. So then you might not have to worry about Trick Room. Or you'd have Trick Room on it as well, but you could just not have to worry about setting it up. So you could go after you on Ice Rider, and then it uses Glacial Lance and takes out 2 Pokemon. Instantly, it's like snowballing, and all you have to do is use after you. So it's not bad. So that could be a good way to go ahead using Moltres. It's good having that Dark type too, because you're immune to Prankster and stuff like that. So that could be useful. Terra Fairy is more of a defensive Terra type, so I probably wouldn't do that. I probably wouldn't Terra that really, but. If you had to Terra Fairy, it's sort of best sort of defensive type on it. That way it gives you resistances to some of its weaknesses too. All right, let's check out the Pimpnite special here. All right, well, we got a physical set. This one's an absolute banger. So we got Sky Attack and Acrobatics. So we're going to go for Sky Attack. We're going to get that Power Herb. It's going to charge on 1 turn. And we're going to hit super, super hard with that thumping 85 base in attack. Then we got Acrobatics for a double base power at 110 with no item. And we got Pain Split as well. And we got Fire Wrap. So it is a mixed special attacker. We're going to use Pain Split to try and cheese some Berserker boost from the opponent. Getting our health back and then hoping we can live and then getting some more Berserk boost. So it's a mixed attacker essentially. Stellar Terra type, so we get them Stellar boosts. And there you go, a beautiful set. Naive Nature, we're not dropping attack or special attack. Max attack and max speed 4 in special attack. You'll definitely do tons of damage with this one, guys. All right, let's have a look at some teammates now. Okay, so some good teammates for Moltres, of course. I was going to say this straight away is Zacian, right? Zacian is a great partner because you can get rid of any of those Fairy-type Pokemon easy, and Moltres can be just constantly peppering them over and over with Fiery Wrap, while Zacian just goes to town. Good typing as well, sort of a good combination, definitely. So that's that could work well with this sort of set here easily. Like that would work very, very well. And Zacian with a Tailwind up as well with Zacian. Zacian's going to be outspeeding opposing Zacian as well, so that's going to be good for sure. Let's have another look here. So some other good Pokemon. I mean, all your sort of standard Pokemon that are really good work well. So Urshifu's another good one. That's going to work nicely, allowing it to outspeed stuff. That's going to be super good. For doubles, you could have even something like Dondozo would benefit from a Tailwind because this could get its boost up with Tatsugiri, and I've done guides on both these Pokemon, and it could get its little boost up there, the Commander boost from the Tatsugiri, and that would help it a lot, and that could be useful. I mean, Tailwind is very, very good for a lot of Pokemon as well there, and this could actually help. If you also make any of these sets will work well. Maybe probably this one here is probably the most standardish one. Will work with the best. So you got Dondozo. There's so many Pokemon. There's like a gazillion that I could possibly list here for sure. So I would have those ones. Any like Extreme Speed D-Knight would work as well. Even lesser ones of that, like Lucario or Entei, would work well too as good partners. They would work nicely. Steel-type Pokemon. I think Steel-type Pokemon are probably the best kind of partner, though. So Goldengo's good. Singles, you've got like Corviknight. Iron Crown's not too bad. King Gambit. And yeah, those Archaludon would be a good one as well. That would be good. So you got some options there. Probably Zacian is the best, though, I would say. Definitely. Like I said before, with that After You set, you could have Calyrex Ice Rider. So you could have this, since it's got such poor speed, you could have Calyrex Ice Rider, and then that could use, that could just be spamming Glacial Lance and stuff like that working together. Or if you don't want to use After You can just have normal Calyrex, and this is going to be destroying. And it has Tailwind up as well, so yeah, it's going to be very, 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 very difficult to outspeed this Pokemon. So there's some examples. Probably, I'm trying to think of some good. Well, any fairy type Pokemon are going to be countering this. Really, it's not exactly it's not a super duper hard Pokemon to counter. So you've got fairy Pokemon. There really is a lot of them. So, you've got Clefable, Enamorus, any of these, Hatterene, any of these Pokemon. Probably a real good one is Tinkaton, because it's gonna resist flying moves, and it's going to resist dark moves as well. So that would be nasty. That would be a real nasty counter. And it can have Fake Out and stuff too, and flinch the Moltres before it tries to get Tailwind up, stuff like that. So that's a definite good counter for sure on the Moltres. Let's have a look at some final sort of thoughts here. If you want to add anything else, please do in the comment section. Oh, it actually gets Memento, which is pretty cool. So it does get Memento, so maybe that could be a last throw move to have on there. And then you can use that for setup. So we've gone over all the Agility, Nasty Plot, Pain Spare. It does get Tailwind, which is good for doubles. Can be a speedy Taunter. You might be able to cheese something with Pain Spare and a rest, but it might be difficult. And you can't passively put yourself, you need to get hit by an attack for Berserk too. After You, we went over that. That can be useful. Helping Hand. It does get Imprison too, but Imprison isn't going to be that useful because you'd have to wait for a Moltres Galar because no one else is going to be running Fire Wrap, so it's not going to be that useful. And it does get some weather moves too, but nothing outrageous there. Its special move pool is very shallow too, like a lot of these Pokemon. It can get Hurricane as well, or Air Slash. We've sort of gone over that. I did that. I showed that Hyper Voice set. That could be beneficial. It does get other stuff like Hex, if there's any, status and stuff like that. There's no reason to ever run Dark Pulse. Even in singles, there's never a reason to run Dark Pulse. It's just, nowhere near as good. And then Terra Blast. Terra Blast Steel, I reckon, is probably a good on this. Or Terra Blast Dark, Flying, Fairy. Maybe Grass could be good as well for any. Not so good for ice moves, but it could be good for electric, or in doubles maybe Spore. It could be good for. It does get Snarl. I didn't mention Snarl, but you're probably not going to be running Snarl and Fiery Wrath. So yeah, that's the special moves, and of course its physical moves are pretty garbage. The only sort of interesting tech you could run on there for doubles could be Sucker Punch. And I know that sounds a bit funny, but if you had Sucker Punch on there, you could get around a Shadow Rider, and you could hit it really hard as well. You might have to get rid of Modest, though, and give it something like... you could give it... I don't really want to drop its... That's the thing. Then you've got to drop one of its better stats, I guess. I think even a modest Sucker Punch would do a fair bit with... that 4 times weakness and black glasses as well, but you'd probably want to make sure it. Let's go. I was gonna go mild, but its defense is kind of like shonky already there. So maybe not mild. It could do that. Yeah, all right, we'll just go with mild for now, but this could be a way to get around Calyrex Shadow Rider as well. So, you know, you got Sucker Punch. A lot of the time they do run Sash though, and you're like, oh, well, you've got, if you say you don't have Tailwind going, right, that could be a good way to finish it off. And your Black's Glasses actually boost that as well. So just an interesting thing you could have on there as a surprise for a very commonly used Pokemon, right? But that's pretty much it for Galar Moltres. Galar Moltres only has a few things it can do, but it's a pretty good Pokemon for singles and doubles. It's pretty solid. It's got ways of boosting its special attack. It's got pretty powerful stab moves that can flinch. We have Fire Wrath and Air Slash. It all has Hurricane. And it can run a few Terrors that can be decent. So I definitely see this being... I have seen this being used a bit. It's not too bad in singles and doubles. It's a pretty solid Pokemon for sure. But that's about it, people. I think the only ones we got left now in the bird trio is Articuno and Articuno Galar. So I'll try and do those tomorrow or the next day. If there's anything you want to add, put it below in the comments section. If you want to see a Pokemon... you want to see me do a Pokemon, put it in the comments section. Check out that playlist, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.